FC Dallas heads into Seattle on Saturday to face the Sounders for the final time in the 2015 regular season. What can the club do to find their scoring touch that they had earlier in the season, and how will the difficulties of an ever-changing lineup be made even more difficult in one of the loudest stadiums in MLS? We'll discuss next in Keys to the Match, driven by Toyota. FC Dallas earned a point last week in San Jose, but the team that led the league in scoring at the start of the season has been held off the board of late.
Yeah, and I think this is just one of those things that every team goes through, one of those struggles that you see from time to time in the middle of the season. It's been a combination of a few things. You've had this long road trip where it's always so tough to score on the road, and then you've had injuries and absences with key players like Fabian Castillo and Blas Perez. Now the good news is both of those guys are back for this weekend. Home games are on the horizon, and you just feel like once they see one go in the back of the net, they're going to come in bunches.
With more international call-ups this week and the return of Blas Perez and Rolando Escobar, FC Dallas will be fielding a much different lineup for the second straight week, which is difficult in itself, but when you factor in the atmosphere of CenturyLink Field, the communication on the field that is always important will be even more difficult on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's something you have to deal with every time you go to Seattle. You've got that turf, you've got the loud crowd like you mentioned, and it's going to be really important for the veteran leadership on FC Dallas like Zach Lloyd, Dan Kennedy, Victor Ulloa. They've got to be vocal, and they've got to make sure that the guys know where they are on the field at all times. But FCD did a great job with that last week, and they've got to be on the same page against the Seattle team that's 5-1-1 at home this year.
Turning our eyes now to the opponent, Seattle boasts one of the highest scoring offenses in MLS, centered around Clint Dempsey and Obafemi Martins, both of whom are in the top 10 in league scoring.
Yeah, and while the offense does get the headlines, it's the defense that's been quietly carrying the Seattle team. They lead MLS with only 11 goals allowed this season, and they have an incredible 5 shutouts in 7 games at home. They've been able to keep their back line of Brad Evans, Dylan Remick, Tyrone Mears, and Chad Marshall healthy this season, and it's up to guys like Fabian Castillo and Blas Perez to really step up to the top of their game to break down this tough defense.
Join us on Saturday night at the Staggering Irishman in North Dallas for our June Party at the Pub's watch party presented by Budweiser. Saturday's match will be shown locally on TXA 21 with Bob Sturm and Brian Dunseth, or you can tune into the radio broadcast in English on 100.7 FM The Word with Daniel, or in Spanish on 1270 AM La Voz del Pueblo with your host, Carlos Alvarado. Well, that does it for this week. For Keys to the Match driven by Toyota, I'm Carter Baum.
And I'm Daniel Robertson. We'll see you next week.